All right, guys, so I don't think I've mentioned on this channel anything about River, but we have had some things going on last week and then into this week. Sorry, he just licked all over my face. And it's kind of gone downhill from last Monday. And I talked about it a little bit on Instagram. He had to get surgery and stuff. And I thought about just leaving it to Instagram, but a few things. One, it's kind of a complicated story and a lot to explain. And unless I did like a million Insta stories, I don't know. And people are asking lots of questions, which I definitely understand. And I'm thankful that everyone's worried or concerned, but it is a lot to kind of answer everyone's individual questions about him. So I thought I'd make this video. Another reason is because he has been in these videos since we very first started YouTube, and I get comments. I mean, my comments are turned off here, but I used to get comments all the time about how cute he was. And especially over on my cleaning channel, he's my little shadow. He just follows me around everywhere. And everyone pretty much once every single video that I put up on my cleaning channel, someone mentions how cute River is, just following me around the house as I'm cleaning. So he's just been a big part of this. And so I wanted to give you guys a little update. It's kind of a long story, kind of not, but I'm just going to start from the beginning. That way everything can be out there, and then we'll go from there and I'll update you guys from there. So last Monday, everything was fine. He was acting totally normal. I would say that the last like 3 or 4 months, maybe even longer than that, he hasn't really had that much of an appetite. But we weren't worried about it because he would still eat other things. Like if we tried to give him a treat, he would eat a treat. His favorite food is pizza. A fun fact about River is that he doesn't beg for food ever unless it's pizza. His favorite food is pizza. Like he loves, right now he's all perked up because I said pizza. And he doesn't really like that much food. Like if the kids spill like goldfish or Cheez-Its on the floor, he's not gonna eat it. So sometimes he'll eat like cheese, like if we have shredded cheese or something taco night, he'll eat that off the floor, but he doesn't really eat anything off the floor, which is like, that's what a dog's for, right? To help you clean. So he wasn't eating his food that much. And we would feed him in the morning and in the night. And sometimes I would feed him in the morning, he wouldn't eat anything. And then like right before I would feed him at night, he'd eat it. And then I tried to feed him again and he wouldn't. So it was just like on and off kind of. But like I said, he would still eat treats and pizza and other things. So I was just like, maybe he doesn't like this food. We switched his food up, then he ate again for a while. Then he started not eating again. So that's the only weird thing that's been happening. Otherwise, he's been totally normal. He's 11 years old. A lot of you guys were asking how old he is. So he is old. So he's had some like symptoms, I guess, of being old. But that's just how dogs are, I think, as they get old. They're just like slower, or I don't know, he just gets like weird moaning and groaning sounds and stuff like that. So a lot of people would comment like how he doesn't seem like he's 11 years old, because if it's just our family here, he's very lazy and you can kind of see like his age. But as soon as someone comes over to our house, he wants to play. He's like galloping around like he's a puppy, and he'll play fetch for hours. So he was kind of showing his age, but not really. So anyways, on Monday, last Monday, he was playing outside all day with the kids. Jane had off school. And then that night we went to go to bed, and actually Chris was still in the living room. I was in the bed, and River jumped up on the bed, which he always does. He usually jumps up on the bed if it's just one of us in the bed, and he'll lay there until the other person comes. So as soon as Chris would come in and lay down, then he'd end up jumping off, and then he goes upstairs and sleeps on the ottoman that we have upstairs. That's like his little routine. And so he was up on the bed with me because Chris wasn't in the bed yet. And then he started panting kind of strange and like pacing on the bed. Like he was wanting to get off, but he didn't want to jump. And so I was like, that's weird, because he jumps up and down off things all the time, jumps up on the couch, jumps up on the ottoman. And so finally I called Chris in, and Chris got him down, and he was just like standing there with like this blank look on his face. And it was very strange. Like, he wouldn't lay down. He was just standing there, and it like he wouldn't get comfortable. And so I went and tried to give him a treat. He wouldn't eat the treat. We tried to give him some pizza because we had pizza. Why did we? We had leftover pizza from something. And he wouldn't eat that. And that was like, okay, something's the matter. So we went to bed. He ended up getting comfortable upstairs at some point. And then we went to bed. And the next day was Tuesday, and he still was acting very strange. He was very slow. Kind of seemed like something was wrong with one of his back legs. I don't know. We didn't know. But Chris was getting ready to go out of town that same day. And I think I had my niece and my nephew here, so I couldn't really take him in, and neither could Chris because he was working. But then we were like, okay, we need to take him in. Something's wrong. So Chris ended up taking him in. And right before he left, he ate a treat and the pizza. So we were like, oh, okay, maybe he's just not feeling great, you know, but maybe he's fine now. There's like a huge jet flying outside. So Chris took him in. They said the original exam looked great. Nothing was wrong with his legs or anything crazy like that. We had actually just taken him in like 2 weeks before for his senior well exam, and everything turned out good there. And then the doctor was like, well, it's been a while since we've done blood work, so let's do some blood work. And then I'm also going to give you guys, like, do a free ultrasound of his belly just to make sure nothing looks weird. And so it came back, and Chris said he came in with a syringe. And I guess the doctor saw on the ultrasound that there was like a liquid pooling in his belly area, like abdomen area. And so he took a syringe and pulled it out, and it was blood. So he was freely bleeding in his belly, and we didn't know why. So at that point, we had to leave River there because he needed to get an EKG because his heart rate was a little off as well. He had to get a better ultrasound, like one we had to pay for, like a more in-depth one, and then the blood work. And then they were going to call us back. So he called us back, and because at one point he asked if he had like ingested rat poison or something, and we were like, we don't think so. I mean, we live on a golf course, but I don't think they spray rat poison on the golf course. I don't know. So he ended up calling me back, and at this point Chris had not left out of town yet, but he said that he had two tumors or two masses on his spleen, and one of them had burst, or he thought one of them had burst, and that's why he was bleeding. And so we had a few options, and so the first option was to have surgery and take the spleen out. He can live without a spleen, which we got lucky there, I guess, and take the tumors out and obviously test them to see if they're cancer. And if it did come back cancerous, the doctor said he would have 1 to 3 months to live. So the other option, if it was cancer, is to do chemo as well, but he would have about 9 months to live if he did chemo. And that was hard to hear, for obvious reasons, but we were really confused about how cancer works in dogs, I guess, because to me, if we pulled out the spleen and the tumors, wouldn't that mean you got all the cancer out? So we had a lot of questions. And then the other option was to do nothing, but with him freely bleeding like that, there would just be a chance that he would bleed out and die. And the doctor was going to give us some sort of medicine to prevent blood clots or something like that. So during that phone call, I immediately went to, we were going to have to put him down that day, because to pay $2,000 for a surgery to only have him for 1 to 3 more months, and I wouldn't know if he was in pain or whatever, seemed like a lot. But then after talking more, there was obviously a chance for the tumors to be benign. And if we did the surgery and the tumors came back benign, then he could live for however much longer. I mean, like I said, he's old, but he wouldn't be dying of cancer anymore. So we obviously decided, I say obvious because it's an obvious answer to me, to do the surgery so that even if it was cancerous and we only had 1 to 3 more months, we would know that we did everything we could besides the chemo or whatever. But if we put him down that day, we would always wonder if those tumors were benign and there was something that we could have done. So we decided to do surgery, and Chris had to go out of town for work, and he had to say bye to River because they told us that if they go in for surgery and they cut him open and they go in to take the spleen out, but they see that that cancer or whatever has spread and there was nothing they could really do, then they were just going to go ahead and put him down during the surgery. So not only were we worried about the surgery in general, like anybody going to surgery, any animal going to surgery is very stressful and scary, but we didn't know if we were going to see him again. We didn't know if they were going to call us and say, hey, it looks like this has spread, so we're just going to go ahead and put him down. We didn't know. So Chris had to say bye to River on Tuesday night. And then on Wednesday, I and the kids had to say goodbye. And my brother helped me bring River in for his surgery on Wednesday morning. And that was very tough. His surgery was from 10 to noon. Or 10, it lasted until 1. They told me 10 to noon, but it lasted till 1. And the whole entire time, I was like, I do not want a phone call during the surgery. I don't want to have a phone call until after the surgery is done, because I knew that if they called me during the surgery, that would mean he didn't make it out of surgery or he wasn't going to make it. So they finally called me around 1 o'clock and they said that he did great. They got the spleen out. It was clean. It was easy to take out. They got the tumors out, whatever. They said there were some little nodules on the liver that they also did a biopsy on, but they didn't look the same as the one on the spleen, so he thought that was fine. He was a little anemic from the free bleeding or whatever, and so they wanted to keep him overnight, make sure he did good or whatever. So on Thursday, I picked River up and brought him home, and he has been recovering here at home. And the doctors told us they would tell us in about 4 days whether the tumors were cancerous or benign. So we've kind of just been waiting on that. And a lot of you guys were asking what his little black shirt is, and that is so that he doesn't have to wear a cone. So if you have animals, you know, like when they get surgeries or cuts or whatever, they have to wear a cone, and it's like this plastic thing that goes around their neck so that they don't try to lick their wounds, because when animals clean, they lick. That's how they clean things, but that can cause bacteria infection or whatever, so you don't want them licking their incisions. So he has like a little shirt instead that covers up. His incision is about that long on his belly, and he likes it. It's a lot better than the cone, that's for sure. I went and washed it the other day, and I went to go put it back on him. His tail was wagging. He loved wearing it. So the last few days, he has been doing great. He's back to his normal self. He has his appetite. The vet told us for him not to run for like 10 to 14 days, but he's been trying to like play fetch, and he's just back to his normal self. He's acting totally normal. So we had high hopes that we were going to hear that they were benign, and we were like, yes, we did this, like we did the surgery, everything's gonna be great. So we get a call yesterday from the vet, and he asked how River was doing, and I said that he's doing great, just hanging in there. And the vet said it doesn't look good. And he said that I guess they don't know what kind of cancer it is, but when they put the cells under the microscope, the cells were multiplying very fast and aggressively. And so they gave him a prognosis of 1 month to live. So we are devastated, obviously. We're really sad. Again, I'm confused. I don't know if I'm in like some sort of state of grief or something, but I'm confused how they could have taken it all out, but he still only has a month to live. And I know when they cut him open, he said he didn't really see, obviously he didn't see enough to say he had to put him down during the surgery. So, I don't know. But we do have the option to do chemo, and I think we're going to decide not to do that. With the chemo, the doctor said he would maybe get 9 more months. I don't know. So this is hard because when we lost Hannah, which was our other dog, Hannah and River were best friends. They're only 6 months apart. And Hannah died when she was 6, and she died of cancer as well. But we didn't know she had cancer until 24 hours before we had to put her down. And she had cancer on her spine. And so she did the same thing as River, where she was fine until she wasn't. And I remember her symptom was the same exact thing. She was up on her bed and she wouldn't jump down. And then she declined from there for 24 hours. And then there was nothing we could do about it because it was on her spine. She couldn't walk. And so we put her down. But that was a shock. She was only 6 years old. We weren't ready for that. It was 3 days before Piper was born. And so that was a lot. We were talking last night how we were thankful. Obviously we missed her a lot, and we still miss her a lot, but we had other distractions. We had River still, obviously, and then a new baby 3 days later to take care of. And you know how you're in a whirlwind there, so we kind of had distractions. And losing River is going to be hard because he's been there through everything. And we're not going to have distractions. So we got River when Chris and I graduated from college, and we lived in our first apartment together. So he's literally been in every single home that we've ever had together. We've built homes together, Chris and I. We moved to Charlotte, we moved to Texas, moved to Charleston, we moved here to Bluffton. He's been there through that. He was there when we got engaged, he was there when we got married, and he was there when all 3 of our babies were born. And he's been the best big brother. He's literally been the best dog. And we're gonna miss him a lot. We always joke that if he were a different dog, we would have lost him so many times. He's so good to just stay by us. He wants to be near us all the time. He follows us around everywhere. A few times where the kids have come inside and he's been outside with them and they forgot, he just sits by the door and waits for someone to notice that he's there. And he's just always been there. So this is gonna be hard. So as soon as he's done healing from his surgery, we are going to do our best to take him to do all his favorite things and just be grateful for every day. I'm terrified that he's not going to have a slow decline. He's going to want to be the best he can be until he gives out. He's going to want to be loyal and loving until he can't be. And so I have a feeling it's going to be, even though we know it's coming, it's going to be a shock. Because right now, like I said, he's acting totally normal. And so it's weird. Like, what would you do if you knew you only had 1 month to live? It has its pros and cons, I guess. We're thankful for a second chance to hang out with him and love him and make sure he knows he's loved, because we felt like we didn't have that with Hannah. We felt like we just had to put her down, and we didn't really get to, like, we probably yelled at her the day before. And so with River, we're happy for a second chance to be able to have him for a few more days, but it is still kind of weird just waiting here for the inevitable. But that's it. That's all I know. So I will keep you guys posted. We're going to try to go on with normal life. I don't know what's going to happen in the next month or 2 months. I don't know. If you guys want to follow along, I'll probably do most of the updates on Instagram. I probably won't make another video just about him on here. Maybe in a vlog or two I'll talk about what's going on, but that's all we know. So basically we're just waiting to see symptoms of the cancer growing somewhere else. So it just depends on where it's decided to grow next. Like I said, Hannah had it on her spine, so she just stopped walking. So whatever organ the cancer takes over, I guess that's whatever symptom. But the main symptoms are not eating, and he said maybe coughing or something like that. So I don't know. I'll keep you guys posted. That's all I really know. Thank you guys for all of your support and love. I know there are no comments on here, but we've been chatting a lot over on Instagram about him and how much he means to us. So thank you. And gosh, this is hard. Love you, bud.